So I'm going to show you today kind of a primitive skill. As you see here, I broke my axe, as I've done many times in the past. And I always bought a new axe, you know. I never actually went out of my way and replaced the handle, but I did learn the skill. And as you see here, I have a brand new handle made of hickory, which is what I recommend because that's a really tough kind of wood, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so we're gonna be taking this handle out, putting this handle in, okay? And if you have this problem at home, I mean, you know, doing it yourself is honestly the way to go, and I'll be with you every step of the way. I'm gonna tell you guys everything that you're gonna need to do this project. You're obviously gonna need your broken axe. You're gonna need a replacement handle, okay? And it usually comes with a wedge and another steel wedge, which we're gonna be drilling that in, hammering it in rather. You're gonna need epoxy or some super glue. I also have some sand sponge. You can use sandpaper. It's pretty coarse, you know. Don't get the finer stuff for now. You're gonna need a drill. This is optional. I'll show you why later. You're gonna need a hardcore hammer, and as you see, even hammers are wedged in, you know, for that sturdiness. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna need some chisels. We're gonna be needing these bad boys. You're gonna need a saw. Nobody really uses saws anymore, but guess what? I do. So we're gonna do that. All right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your axe. We're gonna put this axe right in there, right in the vise, which is also what you need. There we go. You want to get it as tight as possible. And you want to make sure it's in there all the way. Alright, you basically got to saw off the neck. Perfect. So as you see, the vise right here is horizontal. For the next step, we need this vise right here to go vertical. And I'm going to show you how to do that. What I was talking about, putting this thing, the vise, vertically. Unfortunately, this is the only place I could find in my house that I'd actually would go vertical. It's going to be right here. So you basically tighten it up as much as you can. It doesn't have to be amazing. And you have these screws here because of the vise. Usually vise, they come with 2 holes right there. So just to be safe, I do want to put them in there with the good. And one more. There. Now it's not going anywhere. Great. So you got your broken axe head, right? You're gonna put it all the way in there. Now that you got it in there as much as you can, you're gonna start chiseling. So I got a thinner chisel and a wider chisel. So let's check this out. You want to go at different angles. This part is most likely the most tedious. Switch up chisels. And if you are having trouble chiseling, you can use some assistance. You just use a regular drill with a bit. Doesn't really matter the thickness, but I chose like this is one of the thicker ones. And you just drill in as many holes as you can. There. And you're going to want to flip it. Now we're getting somewhere. We're going to do the same on the other side. Once again, release. Flip over, tighten. This is work, guys. This is not easy. This takes multiple steps, but remember, it's always better to do things yourselves and to learn new skills. Getting the handle out is usually the most hardest part, because when a quality person puts this in, they do a good job of making the axe head very sturdy for safety reasons and for work reasons, of course, which is respectable. But then undoing their job is one of the most toughest parts about this project. Back to some drilling. On vise. We're almost halfway there. Flip over. Same process. And take a look at this. We're all done. So it took us some time, but we got everything out, folks. So now on to the next step. Okay, so now you guys are gonna need to fit your new handle into the head, okay? So they don't always fit correctly, which is why you have your sandpaper or sand sponge. You will need gloves for this, preferably, because you don't want to get injured. You want to try fitting it with the fat side first, kind of going in like that, on an angle. Keeping that fat side in there. I'm going to try to see how much of it we actually need to work with. How much of it we have to work with. And it's a tight fit. It's a very tight fit, and we do need it to be tight, but I do need it to still go in all the way. And how much do we have to go? We have to go this much. So, you know, this is why we need a little bit of that sanding. You got to sand some of this down. You could use a machine for this. You could do it manually. It just takes longer to do it manually. If, you guys, the sandpaper is not enough for you, you're gonna need one of these coarse filers, all right? And you see, you just take off just a little bit of the wood on each side. Let's try that again. You can take a little board, try to hammer it down a bit. That way you're not banging on the metal. Now, as you see, it's slowly going in. You just got to keep at it. And now that we have the head in all the way, as you can see. Alrighty. We're gonna try to put in the wedge. And this is the wedge. This is gonna widen it even more on the inside. You want to hammer it in first, just a little bit. And once you see that the wedge cannot go in any further, you can just go ahead and saw the rest of it off. And once you got that wedge in there, I would also want you to put the steel wedge. The steel wedge is going to go perpendicularly, not parallel, right into the X. And this, folks, is how we put in an X. Okay, so now all that's left is to put it to the